Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is Monday, the 24th of January 2021. Now, a very important topic that we're discussing today, and today's topic is about selling as an introvert. I'm an introvert. A lot of people in this community are introverted, and I'd like to share with you some ideas that are really working for me. These ideas have worked for me since I started to sell. And when it comes to selling, it's about you. It's about understanding who you are. And it's also about choosing the right products and services for your personality preferences. Now, remember, introvert, extrovert is a personality preference. And you can be an introvert and be incredibly confident. For me, I am very confident, and I'm also an introvert. So during our time together today, we're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about my experience, and then I'm going to share with you some ideas that you can take away and you can apply in your life to be more successful. So if you're joining me live, say hello. If you're watching me on the replay, say hello. And when you do that, it tells the platform, it triggers off the algorithm. It says that this is important content and it helps me get it out to a wider audience. So my job today is to educate you. That's my gift to you. Your gift to me is to say hello to trigger the algorithm. Sound fair enough? Okay, well, let's continue. Now, over the years, selling as an introvert, I've learned a lot about myself. I started selling newspapers door to door. I was a door-to-door salesman, and that was my first job. And I hated going door to door with my newspapers. I didn't like the rejection, and I didn't like to be face to face with all of these people. I've also sold arts and crafts. Now, that was for a family business, but it didn't excite me. It wasn't a product or service that I was really excited about, and that didn't work for me. Now, the first point that I want to make here is that when you're selling, you've got to find a product or a service that you're really excited about, that you're really passionate about. If you're trying to sell a product and service and you wouldn't buy it or use it for yourself, you will fail in sales. And there's a reason why. And it's a scientific reason to why this happens, is that emotions are contagious. And when you're excited about what you do, people pick up on that and they want to be a part of that emotional journey. But if you don't like the product, if you wouldn't use it, if you wouldn't buy it, then people will also pick up on that. And you'll never be able to succeed with that product. I've seen people double, triple, and quadruple their sales just by finding a different product to sell. So on your journey of selling, on your journey of business, make sure that you're selling products and services that you're really emotionally attached to. I sold water skis and wakeboards from a young age, 15, 16, 17. I was selling water skis and wakeboards. Now, I was passionate about those products and services. I was sponsored. I wakeboarded. I was a state champion athlete. I had already drunk from the cup. I was already convinced that this was the best sport and I loved it. So when people would come in and ask me for advice on water skis, wakeboards, wetsuits, ropes, handles, I already tried them. I had already tested them and I could share ideas from my experience. And I sold a ton of equipment and it was really easy because I was passionate about it. We had a family business selling secondhand goods and we're doing loans. I liked that. It was short interactions, bang, bang, bang. People coming in. As an introvert, you didn't have to have a long relationship with them. Bang, 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 bang. Deal was done. So when you're choosing a product and service for yourself, make sure it suits your personality style. If you're a really extroverted person, then you want a lot more human contact. If you're more introverted, your preference is going to be less human contact. Now, when I got into real estate at age 19, I found that real estate was really good for my personality style. I had to prospect. Now, prospecting back then was going door to door, knocking on doors, bing, 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 ringing on bells, and speaking to people. So I could speak to people one-to-one, and then I could have a depth of conversation. Now, what's really important for introverts in selling is they like to have a depth of conversations. Introverts don't like to have a breadth. They want to go deep. And I was able to do that in real estate. And that suited my personality style very well. In addition, I had a clothing company. I was selling clothing. I was manufacturing in China, selling across Australia. I loved to sell directly to the shop owners, but I didn't necessarily like live events. When I was doing these big live events, I felt out of my comfort zone. I didn't necessarily like to be around a lot of people because as an introvert, we often feel lonely in a crowd. So I liked the selling directly to the businesses, but I didn't necessarily like being at the big events. I felt that I was really out of my comfort zone and I found it hard to make friends. When I was selling motor vehicles, I was living in Dubai. I was working for Chrysler, Jeep and Dodge Automotive, and I didn't really like selling motor vehicles. It was price driven. And I felt that I was more of an order taker. It was price, price, price. And that's not what I really liked to do. I like to have a relationship, but these relationships were really fast and it was price driven. Who can I get it from the cheapest? Who's going to cut the price? Who's going to give it away for me for an absolute steal? And that wasn't my favorite type of selling. When I was selling duty free for Emirates Airline, I didn't really care about the products. Most of the products I thought were, I won't say the word. Most of the products I didn't like, so I wasn't really incentivized to sell them. However, there was people on there who did a phenomenal job, and these people could make commissions of 10, 20, and 30,000 dirhams every single month. Now, the final thing that I'm selling is coaching and consulting. The reason why I love selling coaching and consulting is because I love it. I like to purchase coaching and consulting services. I like to read. I like to learn. I like personal development. I love it. I love it. I love it. And there's three things that makes it very easy for me to sell. First of all, when it comes to coaching and consulting, this is a relationship sale. It's an educational sale, and it's also a consultative sale. So it works really well for my personality. So these are the jobs, these are the things that I've sold over the years. And there's a couple of things that you also have to understand about an introvert when it comes to selling. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain to you a couple of characteristics of an introvert. Now, if you're an extrovert, it's really important for you to understand these qualities and characteristics because you're going to be selling to introverts. Introverts, it's really important for you to understand these qualities and characteristics because the more that you understand your personal preferences, the better decisions that you're going to make. The better decisions, the easier it is to take action. And once you've made good decisions, you're taking the right actions, then you're going to explode your results. Once you explode the results, you then unleash new income levels. And that's really important. So let's think through introverts, and let's think about some of these qualities and characteristics of an introvert. Firstly, introverts prefer to be alone. It's like me. I would be happy to stay at home all day. I could stay at home for a whole week and not see another human outside of my family, and I'd be happy. I wouldn't be bored. I'd be really happy. However, it's a strength and it's also a weakness. It's a weakness because sometimes the introvert tends not to get out of their comfort zone. So firstly, introverts prefer to be alone. Secondly, when you're looking at your career in selling, when you're looking at your career in business, the introvert prefers the internal world of thoughts and ideas. And this is a big one. This is a really big one for you. The entrepreneur prefers the inner world of thoughts and ideas versus the outer world and things. So this is a big breakthrough, and I want you to remember this one. For an introvert selling, the best things that an introvert can sell is a service. For them to sell ideas, it's really good because the introvert prefers the inner world of thoughts and ideas. So knowing this in my own life, where I got some of my very best results was selling services. So when I was selling real estate, I wasn't selling houses, I was selling services. The hardest job in real estate is to get the property onto the market. It's to find a home seller, to build a relationship, to present your service, and then to be able to sell, market, and negotiate on the homeowner's behalf. Now that's selling a service. I loved that because it was a service. It was an intellectual product. It was my ability to use my mind power to get results. Today, as a coach and a consultant, I'm selling consulting services. I'm selling coaching services. It all has to do with the inner world of thoughts and ideas. And aligning myself with these types of products and services, it's very simple. My products are mental products of the mind. And so it's very easy for me to sell. So I want you to think about that. Now, as introverts, you're not alone. There's about 25% of the population that are introverts. And remember, introverts are more interested in the inner world of concepts and ideas rather than actions, objects, and people. So you've got to think through this and you've got to ask yourself, who am I? What is my style? And based on my style, what should I be selling? Now, a couple of other things about the introvert. The introvert is more interested in how ideas influence their beliefs. So when I'm purchasing something, I love to purchase coaching. I love to purchase consulting. What have I got at the moment? I've got a business coach. I have a spiritual coach. I have a voice coach. I have a personal trainer. So I have 4 coaches in my life at the moment, and I'm spending my money on things that can help me change my inner world, change my thoughts and beliefs. Interesting. So you should sell the things that you like to buy. When you sell the things that you like to buy, selling is very simple. It's very simple, no resistance. Now remember, introverts also have a depth of concentration. So as I mentioned before, I could be in my house a whole day and not leave. I could be in my house for a whole week and not leave. And part of this is because once I'm in my 4 walls, I have this depth of concentration. I can walk into my office at 7 o'clock in the morning and I can work all day. I'll go out for dinner with the family. I'll come back, put the kids to sleep, and then I can work till 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. The other day I was up at 6 a.m. and I kept working from 6 a.m. till 1:30 a.m. in the morning. And I loved it because I have this depth of concentration. And that's what introverts have. Introverts have a depth of concentration. Daniel Spear, my brother. Good to see you there, my friend. So think about this. For me, if I'm working with a client and it's a very complex sale, and it's to do with relationships and ideas, and I might have to spend 2 or 3 hours with this client. That 2 or 3 hours goes incredibly fast for me because it's the inner world of ideas and beliefs. What else can we learn about introverts? The other thing about introverts is they feel lonely in a crowd. Now, it was in 2002, January, February, March. It was March 2020, and I had flown from Taiwan to Malaysia, and I was at a live event, which was Vince Tan's World Masterclass. I was one of the keynote speakers. I was on stage in front of 350 people. And for the 4 days that I was in Malaysia, I felt totally lonely. Even though I'm very confident as an introvert, oftentimes as an introvert, we find it difficult to make friends because what we want is we want a depth of conversation. So for the majority of times that I was in Malaysia for the 4 days, I was by myself and it felt incredibly lonely, even though there's 350 people surrounding me and I'm on stage with 350 people around me, I'm still feeling lonely. So what you've got to do is, as an introvert, you've got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I can go on stage, totally confident, step off stage and feel lonely. It's an interesting thing. Now, introverts, what they tend to do is they tend to look for deeper relationships. And that's what I always want. I have clients who have been with me since 2014. I know them so well. They know me so well. And I love that. I don't necessarily like single serving clients. I want to get to know people. I want to understand how they think, feel, and act. And I want to be able to show them how to succeed. And to be able to do that, it takes me some time to get inside of their mind and to really understand their inner world. And that's what I really like. A couple of other things. Introverts like to work alone, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's millionaires, there's billionaires who are introverts, and they like to work alone. That's why I love working at home. This is why I love COVID, because I get to be at home and I get to work alone. So these are some of the qualities and characteristics. And your job is to start to identify with some of these characteristics. It's your job to identify what type of introvert you are. Remember, introversion and extroversion is on a sliding scale. You're not just all extrovert. You're not just all introvert. You're on this sliding scale. My wife is very much of an extrovert. So she loves to be outside. And COVID-19 for her is really challenging because she can't get enough people contact. COVID-19 is my best friend because I don't need the people contact. So you've got to understand where you are on this sliding scale. Now, there's a couple of jobs that introverts tend to prefer. Introverts can be mathematicians. Things like accountants. They're great dentists, writers, farmers. They love technical and scientific jobs. They can be engineers, artists, printers, carpenters, creative architects, and also research scientists. So what I'd like you to do, based on this information that I've shared, if you're an introvert, what do you like to sell? What do you like to buy? Maybe you don't know what you like to sell, but if you understand what you like to buy, then you can really easily understand what you like to sell. I love to buy coaching and consulting services. I love education, and that's why I sell education. That's why I sell consulting. That's why I sell coaching. So I want you to think about this. And as you do this, implement these ideas, make some small adjustments in what you sell and how you sell, who you sell it to, and how you deliver. Maybe you need to spend more time alone. Maybe the job that you're doing causes you to be face-to-face with too many people. If your job causes you to be face-to-face with too many people and you're an introvert, you will get burned out. You'll get burned out. Your energy will be drained. You'll be absolutely exhausted. And you'll never, ever be able to tap into your full potential. And so that's what it's about. Introverts can be influential. Introverts can make a significant impact, and introverts can unleash new income levels. And I know you can do all these three things. So thank you for joining me today. Make sure you leave a comment below. Tell me, what did you learn about an introvert today? Go ahead, leave a comment, and I'll see you soon. Ciao for now.